Welcome back to Yeast Origin. This is Jai Supersonic doing Hugo's story. As usual, go to Allison's channel for the Unicina story. Last time we defeat Velgander, a great demon of Yeast, who's actually a boss in Yeast 2. Oh yes, folks, I've actually played some of the old other Yeast games now, like 1, 2, Oath and Felghana, Ark of Napticism. But the funny thing is, this is post-commentary, right? So, parts 3 and 4 are going to be post-commentary. Parts 5, 6, 7, and 8 and onward won't, but the 4 parts that I just mentioned, they'll be like live commentary of me before I played any of those games. So you're going to hear me be knowledgeable about Yeast stuff now. And then revert back to before I played any of those. It's going to be kind of jarring. Here you should go left in the... well, it's the flooded prison now, so... yeah, welcome to the flooded prison. It's a very water-based area, but we won't be seeing that until the second half. We actually won't be seeing the watery sections, really, until next part. In this segment, you should be going left first, because right is where we're supposed to go later after we get an upgrade from the left. The enemies in here aren't too difficult. These worms, however... they spit green goo, and if you walk across the green goo, you actually slide around like you're Luigi or something. These slimes aren't too bad. Later in the game, there will be like upgraded versions of them that will like divide constantly, so you're gonna have to keep that in mind as you keep going. Also, I believe I was slightly underleveled as we go through here because, yeah, I'm not doing nearly as much damage as I think I usually am by this point. And again, I recorded this ages ago, and I've played so many other Yeast games by this point that it's just like, what do I know anymore? I'm still bad at that dash shot, by the way. I do not get how to do that reliably. If someone in the comments would kindly like to tell me how to do that whole flick in place kind of thing and shoot constantly good. Also, since I've been playing, every other Yeast game, Adol is who I'm used to, and so I'm not used to Hugo's long range anymore. But as you can see, we cannot jump over there. We do not have the time. Although, you might be able to abuse the force shield if you are quick enough without the upgrade, but I don't see why you'd want to go without the upgrade. Just, it's a convenience thing. Unless that's a speedrun tactic, although in the long run, I don't see that helping you. When enemies are glowing red like this, that means that there is a gate in the area, and defeating all the enemies that are glowing will unlock the gate. We've encountered this before, but I just felt to explain it again because it works with gates, not just goddess statues. Later in the game, they'll get really obnoxious with it. A fun fact for you. Hugo Fact is one of his descendants, or his brother's descendants, becomes the main antagonist 700 years later in Yeast 1. I think that was a conscious design choice when they had Hugo wear a similar black cloak. Although the enemies here obviously don't need a silver sword to damage you because, well, that'd be silly if you were that invulnerable. Although I wish it sometimes. But then again, we do have the energy shield. I believe that is like the fact, line of magic, I believe, is the shield spells. Now we can dash. Dashing is fun. There's also an option in this game and every other Yeast game that has a dash to always dash while able. Why is this not a default option? I mean, why is it not checked off by default? I do not see why you would ever want to walk. But hey, what do I know? I just like moving fast all the time. Although Hugo is the slowest runner of all 3 characters, the hidden character is the fastest. Although Hugo is still plenty fast on his own. He's just slower compared to the other two. Generally, these next two parts are going to be kind of sloppy. Also, I've been poisoned, but it's so insignificant in this game, I don't know why they even bothered with the status. It's kind of like in Fire Emblem. Now poison, like, doesn't do anything barely, and then you just abuse it to increase your stave rank. It's kind of like that here, except you don't get any benefits out of it. It's just a slow tick. It's not even like every second, it's like every 3 seconds. 1 damage. Really pointless, in my opinion. It's more dangerous in Arc because, well, the early game has some enemy poisoned and you have low HP. I think the rate of, losing HP is faster there, but I could be wrong, and that could have been just a hard mode thing. So these guys will try to poison you with their guns, their biological weapons. Down there to the left, which I, for some stupid reason, avoided, is actually the next cloak that we get to, increase our armor. But of course I avoided it, because I'm dumb sometimes. We'll be getting it later for the second boss, not the first boss of this area. We're closing in on that first boss. There's not too much to this first area before we actually get to the actual underwater. These are your typical platforming challenges. They're kind of trivialized. You have a swim meter, but it doesn't really, come into effect until later. These big, bulky guys are kind of annoying because they can make themselves really, tanky, but if they're stupid and walk into a corner like that guy was, you can just shoot them, then, well, when you need. This guy, really easy to deal with. Next boss isn't so hard either, but Ys 1 players will be really familiar with him, I'll say that much. He is one that aggravates pretty much every single player of the game, especially those who try to do the boss rush mode. Tisk tisk. You never have enough SP for anything. And then later you have way too much SP, and then you have to decide which SP thing to use. And here's Epona again. She's still annoyed that we defeated her last time, and she's kind of impressed that we managed to live through a very easy area. Velgunder. He was powerful, but his lack of intelligence and weakness to fireballs and other projectiles was his doom. Let's have a rematch, buddy, friend, pal. Also, more of Hugo being a smooth, suave lady killer. It's a trap. You could lay off a bit, Hugo. Yeah, this is, Oh, hi. Hi, guys. Yeah, Hugo would be like, oh, crap, it's those guys from Ys 1. That really... Wait, do we have video games in this world? I don't know. Fighting two of them at once would be really bad. Especially if it was the original game. Could you imagine? That little wizard guy. But does he need food badly? I don't think so. Thankfully. Aren't these things supposed to be little? They're summoner? Well, you need some summoning skill. Maybe if you went to, Yuna, she'd be able to help you. But hey, what do I know about summoning? I've just played too much Final Fantasy. Hugo should have just gotten like a fake hand and thrown it at her. My job here is done. And then opponent blackmails us into fighting. Dun dun. Alright, let's go. The infamous Valgalun. Is that how you say it? I don't know how you say it, but I just butchered that bat's name. But anyways, he deserves to be butchered anyways. This guy will split into tons of bats. You cannot hurt him while he's doing that. He will also shoot fire that you should avoid and not tank like a little punk. Yeah, that's his general strategy. Bats, fire, hit him. There are divides when the flamethrower gets too far, so you can avoid it pretty easily. As Hugo, you should probably keep the shield up at all times. Especially if they get close. They do not like the wind element. That will actually split them up a tad. He also has these claw shots. Kind of like Slash Beasts in Mega Man X4, if you've ever played that. Kind of like that backwards kick, but this is a lot faster. And you could actually possibly get hit by it. At this time, he splits into two. They're weaker, slightly, but yeah, avoid one, so you only have to deal with one at a time. The other will eventually try to attack you, but usually they'll be too far out of range. Honestly, this guy is a lot easier than I'm making him look. This old footage is kind of annoying me to look at right now, to be honest. But hey, at least we can deal with stuff. And we can destroy him. Especially if he groups up together. Just power up with the Eyes effect, burst mode, and shoot at him. At this point. 3 HP, no problem. Just blow him up. You don't have to kill both of them. They both share a life bar. So, yeah, it's kind of like Ten Shin Han's whole split into four thing. But anyways, that was part 3 of Ys Origin. Or is it part 4? I don't remember at this point. Yeah, it's part 3, I think. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye.